I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating and it gets everywhere. And in desert wargaming, there are thankfully few opportunities to roll for related chafing in those intimate areas. Inversely, however, there are thankfully many ways to make desert-related terrain, starting with a simple desert house made of little more than dollar store foam board and spackle. Let's get into it. First things first, get a piece of foam board from that store where nothing costs $1 and cut 4 walls roughly 3 inches tall for every building. I'm making mine 4 inches by 4 inches and 4 inches by 6. Once done, peel off the paper on both sides, making sure to save the paper as a reminder that you haven't cleaned up yet. Cut a door or two for each building, roughly an inch wide and an inch and a half tall, and somewhere between 2 and 14 windows, an inch tall and 3/4 of an inch wide. Use the first wall as a template to maintain consistency of height and size, which, coincidentally, is why they started putting the tag on the front right inside of your jeans. Okay, now that your pants are zipped back up, use a pencil to emboss a brick pattern into random parts of the styrofoam. This will show under the chips of plaster, and that's a heck of a lot better than what's lying under my chips because all that's lying under there is an empty plate and a pile of regret. Once done, imprint a rock-like texture onto your bricks by pressing into them with a piece of rolled-up tinfoil, a rock, or your face if you're Ben Grimm. Then cover the inside walls with a mixture of Mod Podge and black paint. This will stiffen everything up and keep the insides from looking unfinished, despite being unfinished. While that dries, find a piece of cross-stitching mesh that you spray painted black and cut diagonal squares to go over the windows of the buildings. Step up the look of the mesh and give yourself a hand cramp. Cut out the cross sections to increase the size of the squares. This will make the windows look more homey and less like a prison cell. Then, using offcuts of foam board, cut out 2 ledges per wall that will hold up the ceiling later. Grab a glue gun that makes you look like you're compensating and glue the ledges to the inside walls so that the top is level with the top of the windows. Then glue the cross-stitching mesh to the windows on the inside. Once done, glue the walls together. Don't worry about hiding the seams because they'll be covered up later. Just focus on not getting burnt by the hot glue gun because the glue comes out like a mixture of napalm and lava and my fingers still haven't healed up yet. Then get the foam board out one last time and cut out the roofs like you're Steven Spielberg directing a group of loud Rottweilers. Find some spackle and a single chopstick because the Chinese place had a half-off special, and before trying to figure out whether or not that joke made sense, grab a glove and smear the spackle onto the outside of the buildings like you're smearing toothpaste onto a nail hole because you couldn't find your spackle. Take a moment to hear my dad having a rage-induced heart attack before telling the 3 people watching this to never fill nail holes with toothpaste because it doesn't blend in and leaves a gross and greasy residue. Now it's time to paint. First, another visit of that tasty mixture of Mod Podge and black paint. Cover the entire outside of the buildings, both spackle and foam. Then use apple barrel's burnt umber to cover the spackle and windows, leaving the brick parts for later. Once later becomes now, paint all the brick bits with apple barrel's barn red. Quickly dry brush the spackle with light mocha before your wife sees the paint and demands that you go and get her a coffee. Accent the windows with pewter gray. Use granite gray on the bricks if you're feeling fancy. And lastly, go over the entire piece once more using aged parchment. If you can find them, desert houses can be dangerous. Usually there's a mean witch inside looking to fatten you up, and despite the fact that I've already beaten her to the punch and don't quite understand heterophones, these particular desert houses can be made for less than $1 a piece and look almost good enough to eat. Have a good one.